What's up, Browns fans? Time now for another edition of X's and Joe's. Nathan Zegura joined by the HOF, Joe Thomas, and we're going to go inside the film room to take a look at some of the bright spots in what was an otherwise disappointing outcome in Las Vegas for the Cleveland Browns. But there were some things this Browns team can build on, takeaways on defense, some good action in the run game, and of course we know that Deshaun Watson played his best game as a Brown in 2024. So let's go ahead and get into the film room. Hoff, let's just start big picture. We were coming off of a disappointing loss to the Giants. You go on the road against a Vegas team, didn't have two of its stars, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams. It was a game it felt like the Browns should win. They did not. They sit at 1-3. What is going on in the locker room? What's the mentality? How do we right this ship, big picture?
Well, you got to eliminate the mistakes, right? And that's always the message from the head coach, right? You got to execute better if you want to win in the NFL. The game plan's there. And what you got to do is focus on your job, making sure you're taking care of the details, because as we've seen in every game this season and pretty much every game in the NFL, it's going to come down to 3 or 4 plays. And when your number is called, are you going to be ready to be able to make that play?
Well, here's a couple plays that the Browns did make in that game. They just didn't make enough. You mentioned it, the self-inflicted wounds. It was kind of a death by 1,000 cuts. But here are some cut-ups of some good things that we saw and hopefully that they can build upon on this trip to Washington. We'll start at the goal line. The Browns come out. This is 2nd and 1. They tried to run it in on first down. They were unable to. This is heavy personnel. 3 tight ends, Nick Harrison at fullback. You're going to sell this hard run action, and you're going to get the tight ends leaking out, and you can see the way the second level of this defense, watch them. They will all step down on the play fake, and that will leave a lot of room here as we let this one unfold.
Yeah, you mentioned the personnel. You're in heavy personnel. You're giving the look like you're running a run just like you did on first down. So the defense, they've already seen you run the ball. You're in the same heavy personnel. You're thinking, hey, 2nd and 1, they're probably going to run again. And the Browns do a really good job by going with short motion. They take their wing. He goes in a little bit of short motion. What that does is it brings the Raiders safety across a little bit. And then now when that wing enters into the D gap, that safety has run responsibility down there. And so he's worried, hey, I got to get down there in my gap and fill my gap because the Browns are running it right at us once again. And with the addition of Deshaun Watson's play fake, which is really good, he holds the ball out there and he's able to do a short little rollout. And because of all that action and all that look and smell and feel like the run, the Browns are able to get 2 guys, not 1, but 2 guys wide open in the corner of the end zone.
And it is a touchdown, Browns. Yes, you're exactly right. That was one of how do you even know who you're going to throw it to when you're the quarterback in that situation? He took the one farthest away from the defense. Let's look at it from behind, and you're going to see the reaction. He in the short motion here, Blake Whiteheart, and you're going to see that safety move over to try to fill this gap now, and they get him down. And look, all the Raiders are sucked in down near the line of scrimmage. Easy leak out, easy throw. And for Blake Whiteheart, his first touchdown in the National Football League. Hoff, that's one where you just out-schemed them, out-executed them, and it allows. There's the good play fake. Looks like he's going to stick it right in the belly of Deontay Foreman. The Raiders think, oh, man, we're going to come up here and get another stop. No, and they would have. They would have gotten a stop if it was a run, but it was not. And there it is. Touchdown, Browns. All right, Hoff, let's take a look now at the defense's big play in this one, and it was about forcing a fumble, and I think it goes back to something that we talked about on Cleveland Browns Daily, setting the edge. And Isaiah McGuire, the Browns' second-year player, certainly does that on this play. He sets the edge, holds the edge, gets the ball out. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah flies in, really bounces the ball out, and it ends up being a turnover for the Browns. Let's see this from kind of the end zone here. What do you see formationally here? What's kind of your pre-snap read? The Browns have 4 down linemen. Delpit is really a 5th on the line of scrimmage. This is an 8-man box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Raiders are going to try to get to the outside here and outflank the Browns defense.
Yeah, so the first thing you'll notice that the Raiders is they take their left tackle and they move him over to the right side, right? It's called an unbalanced line. And so what the Browns do is they recognize it right away. And now they're treating the right guard as if he is a new center. So you see both defensive tackles there in the essential A gaps on either side of that right guard. And that's really important here because you look at the guy who is in the right tackle position and the tackle who is now in the tight end position, they have to communicate who they're going to block. And because they've got Dalvin Tomlinson in that tilted nose over the right guard, the Raiders don't want to allow Dalvin Tomlinson to just be blocked one-on-one and sprint right up the field, right? It's a zone play going that direction. So you can't let the Browns' best defensive tackle just sprint right up the field. So they're thinking, hey, we need to get a double team on him. We need to be firm and get movement here. But because of the Browns' formation and how they moved over to adjust for the unbalanced line, the communication gets messed up by the Raiders because the tight end, who's the tackle, and the right tackle don't communicate the combination that they're trying to execute in zone blocking. So you get the tight end is blocking out, and the right tackle gets surprised by how quickly Isaiah McGuire is slanting into his face. He's not able to get his helmet to the outside, to the play side in the outside zone, which allows Isaiah McGuire to penetrate, and it forces the running back to bubble. We always talk about when you're running the ball in zone, you want the running back to run on a straight track, like he's on railroad tracks, and you don't want him to have to make any movement off that track until he gets his heels into the line of scrimmage. Because Isaiah McGuire gets a great amount of penetration, he forces the running back to bubble and leave his track, which slows down the timing of the zone play and allows Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to sprint through the gap. And as Isaiah McGuire is slowing him down, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah comes in with the peanut punch, knocks the ball out at the most important time in the game, and Rodney McLeod scoops it and scores with a little somersault action to get the Browns defense fired up, and all those Browns fans that are in the crowd in Las Vegas, Nevada, getting ready for what we had hoped and what we had thought was going to be the turning point in a game that we could win down the stretch.
There's no doubt about it. And one thing to look at the beginning of this play, and when people talk about pre-snap motion and the impact that it has, right? They're going to send Trey Turner here in motion. And watch how all three, we shift across with that motion, and then they're going to try to run it away from our shift. And this play's made by, as you mentioned, Isaiah McGuire right here, getting upfield. He's got him. Man, look at Miles flying off the backside. They don't even block him down, and he is terrifying right there. But Isaiah McGuire is able to get in here, get that left hand in there, and the ball starts to come loose right here. You can see it. And then JOK comes in with the helmet, finishes it off, and then Dalvin, nope, big man can't get it, but a perfect pass right there on the ground to McLeod. Somersault into the end zone. Miles is celebrating. Everybody's celebrating. And we thought that was going to be the turning point in the game for the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns weren't able to capitalize on the scoreboard, but one thing they were able to do here in this fourth quarter on this last drive where you had a chance to go in and win. Remember, had D-Hop made that extra point, all you needed was a field goal here, and this next play certainly would have set you up for at least that. This is on a day it was tough slogging in the ground game for the Browns, HOF. This was one where they really got it going. We'll take a look at the formation here. You're in the shotgun. The back is on your left side if you're Deshaun Watson. Back is on his left hip. Now, typically in the NFL, the only runs that would go this way, right, would be a toss right out of the shotgun. Kyle Shanahan used to do that with the Browns. But most likely, it's going to be a run inside handoff this way. So what the Browns are going to do is they're going to run a little counter here, HOF. They're going to make it look like it's coming across the formation, and you're going to get Jordan Akins coming across, creating an alleyway along with Amari Cooper, who gets to the second level, pulls his running back in. He gets the safety that's coming down. He's going to pull this quarterback in. Akins kicks it out, and it's a great, great run that you'll see for the Cleveland Browns. Look at it at the wide, and then we'll get behind the line of scrimmage, HOF, so you can see it. So it looks like running across, but here you're pulling the backside right guard. Zinter, he's here. Akins is going to come here, and then Jerome Ford is going to follow it all right through, and it's going to end up being a huge run for the Cleveland Browns. This is just well schemed and well blocked. And HOF, from the backside here, now take us through what you're seeing.
Well, you see the Raiders, they're in a type of man coverage, right? And so what that does is it basically allows you to clear out some of the linebackers that are playing in the second level, because a lot of times in the NFL, you can use tendencies like you just talked about when you have the back offset to your advantage, because you think that the Raiders are smart enough to understand, hey, we're probably going to run to our right, because that's where you mostly can run when you are in that offset shotgun type formation. But when you start the formation and the play going one direction and you're able to pull two guys going the other direction, you get nice down blocks. They don't have anybody in the second level who now is able to scrape over the top and to be able to make that play in the B or the C gap. And then one thing you really got to appreciate is a hard running back, right? He understands sometimes the holes are not enormous, but Jerome Ford realizes, hey, this ball is supposed to be run in the B, maybe the C gap if I can get outside. And all I got to do is put my shoulder down, run through that first gap, and then there's not going to be anybody left at the second level. If I can turn the jets on, one of the things Nick Chubbs does so well is being able to hit that second level at full speed, turn on that accelerator, and get well down the field and make a nice play right there at the end, being physical, although he took a little bit more of a hit than you would have expected. But it's that physicality, that physical mentality that you're trying to exude to all the guys in the offense to build that momentum and that excitement and that energy as you're going down the field to get what you would hope to be the game-winning touchdown.
And I mean, you talk about in a run scheme, chunk plays only happen, right, when the receivers do a good job down the field. And Amari Cooper does a very good job right here on the safety. He draws his action, draws in his corner with him. That allows Akins to kick here, and that's where you're going to get this seam that Jerome Ford is going to be able to run through here and make a big play for the Cleveland Browns. It takes everybody, right, in the ground game. It takes all 11.
Kudos to Ken Dorsey for the design of this play, but also calling it at the right moment, knowing when the Raiders are going to be in man coverage, because a lot of times when they're in man coverage, that's when a lot of the big runs happen. Because if you get a receiver who's coming in, he's cracking the safety, doing a good job, the cornerback is going to follow him in there, right? Because he's covering him in man, and it's all often too late for that corner to be able to peel off and realize, hey, now it's a run. Now I got to put myself in position. And when you're a small man getting blocked by a bigger man at tight end, it is not a good feeling, because as you see the play happening, and by the time you recognize that it's a run, it's too late, and you're basically just running out of there, making some business decisions, trying to get out of the way and not get hurt by a big fella coming downhill on you.
That's right. That's called get out of the club. Boom. DeCorian Bennett, we'll see you later. And there goes Jerome Ford for a big gain. And it was, as we said, it was a tough day running the football, but this is one where the Browns really got that ground game going. And as you can tell, it just takes everybody over there. Zinter pulling across, Akins, Amari, and then Jerome Ford. He kind of had to stop his feet. That acceleration gets it going for the big gain. So, Hoff, some things you can take away from this and hopefully carry forward. Now, Washington is going to be very difficult. Jaden Daniels has had the best first 4 games of any quarterback ever in NFL history, and he's doing it as a rookie. So it is going to be a tough matchup, and one the Browns are going to have to execute and play clean to go ahead and get a win.
Anytime you're playing a rookie quarterback, you want to try to confuse him pre-snap to just slow down that decision-making process as long as you can to give yourself just a split second of an advantage. And as we know, Myles Garrett, if you give him a split second, he's going to get to the quarterback. So I expect this is going to be a big week for Myles Garrett. You're going to see a lot of disguise out of the Jim Schwartz's defense. And we've got an opportunity to change the trajectory of Jaden Daniels' season thus far, because as you mentioned, he's had one of the best starts to any season, regardless of if you're a rookie or if you're a veteran quarterback.
And hopefully change the direction of our season as the Browns look for a much-needed win on the road in our nation's capital. On behalf of the Hoff, Joe Thomas, I'm Nathan Zegura saying thank you for joining us for another edition of X's and Joes.